There they go into the back. The blue light on. We have a race, and Satnova's beaten Pure Steel out by a length and a half.
Welcome to Talking Trots, hosted by Mortz and Michael Radley on Tab Radio, Racing and Sport.
The sensational Sydney sider, Seals to Sam, comes off the back straight. He's a bucket load of alliteration, this fellow.
Scott Bomber Hill will join the boys to look at the Friday night meeting at Gloucester Park, and Hayden King will find the winners for the weekend's racing.
Here comes Quinny. I'm the mighty Queen is 4 deep and letting go.
Sit back and enjoy Talking Trots with Mortz and Michael Radley.
I'm the mighty Queen is just in front. Dasher VC can do no more. And the West Australian champion has done it again. Steno can't go on around the turn though. Wonderful to Fly is nicely clear. Simply Shaz running a great race, and then Born to Boogie. Here's Simply Shaz after Wonderful to Fly. Wonderful to Fly. Simply Shaz going home better though. Simply Shaz has raced up for Kenny Cazalis and Peter Anderson, and Simply Shaz in a boil over as one from Wonderful to Fly and Born to Boogie.
Hello and welcome to Talking Trots for another week, and that was the Mayor's Classic of last Friday. Simply Shaz, delivered to perfection by Trent Wheeler, gets up to score a Group 1 for Peter Anderson. He's won a few Group 1s in his time, Pete, but I'm sure that would have meant something significant with Simply Shaz, who he's really had to toil away with, and he has been working so industriously to get this mare through the grades, and it's a real coronation glory for her to achieve a Group 1 result. I'm joined this week by Glen Moore. How are you, Glen?
Good evening, Hayden, and good evening, listeners. Yeah, that was an exciting moment for Peter Anderson, Simply Shaz, to the owners to win that race. They won the Empress previously, and now they win the Westrel Mares Classic. It's a great result for the boys. And those owners, they put in a lot. Peter Anderson's one of the owners, Catalano, Casalis, Ross Waddell, and Messrs Hall as well. Congratulations to all of them winning such a big race for that mare.
And it's a special moment for everyone concerned. It did look unlikely coming off the back straight when Wonderful to Fly skipped merrily clear by some distance, but fitness just proving her enemy. Yeah, probably that missed preparation, and Shane obviously thought the horse was travelling well enough to do it at the time, and he made that judgment call, and just Simply Shaz, so tough and relentless, just kept coming and outstayed Wonderful to Fly, and a great result for Trent Wheeler as well, of course, to win a major race like that. Absolutely. Let's get straight to our guest, Glenn, because we've had a real riotous run trying to get a hold of someone on the show, but this man is in better form than anyone else in WA. I think he's had a great week, and that started last Friday with the success of Hillview Bondi.
Side of Sugar Street, and then came Who's the Dad? Lasaka's running on for the back. 27.9 the third quarter. Sugar Street, Hillview Bondi, then Who's the Dad and Lasaka. Hillview Bondi the outside of Sugar Street. Hillview Bondi put the nose in front of Sugar Street. Hillview Bondi is going to be too tough. Hillview Bondi has won from Sugar Street. Third home.
Hillview Bondi, he's just the quintessential grinder. He got the money, and our guest tonight is Kyle Symington. Hey, Kyle.
Good afternoon, Hayden and Glen. How are we?
Good afternoon, Kyle. Les, that was a well-judged drive there. Sugar Street got taken care of a little bit early, which suited you, and you could sit out of that, and then that situation created a position for you outside the leader pretty easily on the bit, and you were able to apply that thumbnail pressure to get over Sugar Street late.
Yeah, we were lucky that we weren't the ones having to apply a bit of pressure early, so we were able to do it the middle and later stages of the race, and be the ones that were stronger at the end of the race. Yeah, it looked confident in running, and the horse was always travelling in Sugar Street, a little bit susceptible, you would have thought, perhaps in running as well, but still a very meritorious run by Hillview Bondi, who's gone from strength to strength, that's for sure, for the stable recently, running real good times as well, of course. So, tomorrow night, Pelagroso Race 1. You've got the gate speed. Is there any temptation there probably at the gate to have a look early on? There'll be the temptation, but I'm not sure if it will work out tomorrow night. There's a bit of speed inside of us. But he's racing well when he can find the rail. It was just like last start he didn't find the rail and then got pushed wider in the last 400 metres, and most horses don't like that, and him especially. So, he's only really a place chance if he can find the rail. Otherwise, yeah, probably just wait another week.
Yeah, there'll be the night for him when he draws that 1 or 2 or something to be more confident about that outcome in terms of getting the lead. But, yeah, he's just the sort of horse that can just grow a leg when that ride run comes, of course.
Yeah, definitely. He's a good front runner and, yeah, loves the shorter trips as well. So those sprint races at Pinjarra have been good for him.
Acuto is a horse that hasn't had much luck recently. He's actually been going okay. His sectionals have been all right, but he just hasn't had the rub of the green, and that might be no different tomorrow night. Gate 6 over the 17:30, Kyle.
Yeah, he's definitely not having things go his way, but like you said, he's still performing pretty well. And but, yeah, he is a horse that needs a bit of luck. So, yeah, it looks hard to see where we get to from barrier 6 over the short course, but I'm sure he will run an honest race like he always does.
Kyle Tiger Royal, a horse that's absolutely low flying and just haven't been able to get that touch of luck lately. Last week, obviously, it looked like he could get locked up, and that's the way it turned out on the map. And the horse went to the line full of running and bolting, same as the previous occasion. We got out and flashed. The horse is going well enough to win. Following the right horse here, I'm a 5-star General. Possibly Hillview Bondo outside the leader here, and maybe Magnificent Maps 1-1. Again, this situation could be difficult, but it could open up with the quality of those horses on the outside.
Yeah, I think we're following the right horse, but initially I thought Magnificent might have a crack for the front, so I thought we might have been 3 back to the fence. But what do you think of that?
I thought the one would do enough to hold up, but I wouldn't be surprised in what you're saying occurs. They might take that option. They also might think that they're pretty well guaranteed the 1-1 by not attempting the launch. I'm not ruling out what you're saying, but because it could well be on. But they've also pretty well got the guaranteed 1-1 when Hillview Bondo moves forward.
Yeah. So either way, there'll be pace in the race. Hillview Bondo will be driven in the same way up on speed. So that suits us whether we are leaders back or 3 back on the fence. And yeah, he's performing really well. I think if he got out last start, he would have won. When he got a bit of a split late, he really powered through the line, and yeah, he was strong in the cool down laps. So
yeah, he's
really
ready.
Happy with the way he's performing.
He's definitely ready. There's no doubt about that.
Additionally, they've seemingly been at pains to keep Magnificent settled back through the field in his preparation thus far.
That's possible too, yeah.
It has been the way so far. If that is to change, perhaps it could be tomorrow night. Race number 6, you drive Alta Queen. She's been racing well, a victor 2 starts ago, and you follow out a noted leader, rumour has it. I guess you'll be hoping to be leaders back?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, she goes pretty well with a sit and has a good turn of foot. So, yeah, if we can hold leaders back, and I think she should be, definitely in the finish. She's racing pretty well.
Yeah, only one way to drive it here, isn't there? Just she's got that turn of foot, as you say, and if she gets clear daylight, at her best, she can be running on here. It's a reasonably strong field, but she's going to get the right run. Fleur de Marquis, I thought, was the horse that might press forward here. There's no real breeze horse apart from it, and I'm sure that's what Kyle Harper would be eyeing off, and that won't hurt your chances late because that horse's racing style, as you know, Fleur de Marquis, is to apply pressure to the leader.
Yeah, and I think she's, 3 starts ago, I think that was her career best run once they put the blocks on her. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they drive her confident, even though she's up in grade.
Yep.
Race number 7, Bella Ragazza, a horse you have grown an affinity with recently, to success, and another that will rely on a bit of luck. But with luck, could you see her playing a part?
Yeah, I could. Her work this week was really good. She's going good. I think she's still just learning the caper. I think she's one to watch once she's had a spell and comes back. But yeah, we like her. But I think she'll be a long-term proposition.
Yeah, look, there could be a bit of heat on too. I like her too, Kyle. I think she's shown a lot of promise, and she hasn't had a lot of luck. Last start, she copped a bit of a check, and she ran on really strongly. I think she's got some future in front of her, and like you say, put him out for a spell, bring him back. She could develop into a nice horse. What do you sort of see happening early here in terms of Poitras has got the gate speed, Trent Wheeler drawn 1, Sister Cherie, Denny drawn 4. What do you see happening there, all aglow 6, Shannon? What do you see happening there early?
Yeah, I thought Quantrose would come out hard and it'd look to hold a forward position.
Yep. Sister Stories drawn 4.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they'd be looking to hand up to that or if they'd like to lead around Gloucester Park.
Yep. Big question mark, I agree.
Yeah, so...
She did lead and win last start Quattro, so she did get it on her own terms, but she has proven she can lead and win in this company.
Yeah, going up in class a touch in terms of the pressure she might cop compared to last start, obviously. But, yeah, a horse with some ability, no doubt. They'd be considering leading, I would have thought.
Race number 9 on the program, he's Royal Blue. He was able to run second last start, Kyle, there at Pinjarra. Mile rate actually really strong, 158.7 over the short course stand. Obviously a horse that definitely is suitor to the shorter trips, although he rises to 2,500 tomorrow. Could you see him running a place again?
Yeah, potentially. He runs his honest races. He generally steps pretty well, and then if we can pick the right horse to sit on, he'll get the perfect run. So that gives him every opportunity to run a place, but he does prefer the shorter trips, like you mentioned. So that's probably the only query, but there's also a couple more. There's a couple of horses in this race that also don't like the 2,500. So, that levels it out a bit, I think.
Yeah, you probably got to pick the one to hand over to, as you say, and I guess the first obvious one, Extraordinary Mary perhaps, but which does over-race a touch, so you're going to get the right run, and then you've got the Bond horses, Karana and Lusaka, which they'll be coming around and putting pressure on at some point anyway.
Yeah, I was actually really impressed a couple of weeks back at Gloucester Park when he stepped and got challenged for the lead early, that he was still able to stick on. I think he ran fourth on that occasion.
Yeah, it was a good run, yeah.
He hasn't been known to be able to do that before, but I didn't want to sit on that horse, and yeah, he was meritorious in his run. So,
yeah, that was a good run, for sure.
I think he's getting a bit stronger and able to do a bit of work early, so that helps us being able to pick the right horse to sit on.
Definitely.
You got a heap of drives over the coming days as well, Kyle. Saturday, Monday, Tuesday. I won't put the spotlight on you for all of them. The fields have just come out for Tuesday, but Beach Captain looks a good pickup for you on Tuesday. Nathan Turvey presented this horse yesterday at Bunbury, and he did a fine job when scoring there, so good to get in the car aboard him.
Yeah, it is. He won well yesterday. I actually watched the race with Nathan, and he said he didn't really want to race it yesterday. He thought it was a week away or so, so I'm sure it would have taken benefit from that run and, be ready to go.
Thanks for coming on such short notice. You will need a bit of good fortune tomorrow night, but hopefully it comes your way.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle.
Speak to you guys soon.
That's Kyle Symington. Really good to get Kyle on.
Very good.
It was a very short notice indeed, Glenn. We had many guests drop like flies. So.
Yeah, that's what happens when you get trials on and things like that. It gets a bit awkward sometimes.
Thanks to Kyle for
sure
getting on. All right, we're going to go to a break now, Glenn. Before we do, this segment brought to us by Steel Blue Boots. Steel Blue Boots sponsor.
I'm wearing a pair tonight.
You are?
Yep.
Well done.
I'm looking after my safety, and they're very comfortable too.
Indeed they are. Let's go to a break. Last week, thankfully Kyle's off the line because he won't like listening to this again because he was pinned away on Tiger Royal when Shannon was dictating aboard our Shelley Beach. One of the biggest moves I've seen in quite a while, Glenn.
That was a big plunge. Yeah, it just
Park.
was relentless, wasn't it? And people would have been anxious about Kyle getting out actually, but Shannon made sure.
Our Shelley Beach
room.
Getting the money last week.
Tiger Royal, he won't let him out. Might Have Time is out 3 wide. Rupert of Lincoln, and then came Illawong Mustang, BJ's boy. Shelley Beach in front. Might Have Time the outside. Shelley Beach in front, holding them at bay from Might Have Time and Tiger Royal and Rupert of Lincoln. And all the way for Shelley Beach. The plunge comes off. Shelley Beach 340 and a 165 wins it from Might Have Time, Tiger Royal, and also Rupert.
You are listening to Talking Trots with Mortz and Michael Radley.
Next quarter, Blitzen by in front of Armour Rhinestone, and then came the Codebreaker, Bricky's Dream. Cordero's trying to find a run behind them. The leader Blitzen by from Armour Rhinestone, a wall chasing. Wild West is flying. Look at Wild West all over the top, raced up, took the lead from Blitzen by, and Wild West has won from Blitzen by. Galactic Star grabbing third on.
Wild West coming from the tail of the field to get up and score there. An unrelenting tempo set at the front of affairs by Blitzen by, and a strong travelling Armour Einstein, meaning that Wild West was given every chance, even though he was at the tail of the field, and he comes home strongest to score. Glen?
Yes, Hayden. It looked in running Wild West Race to Lose. It was all set up by the over-racing Armour Einstein and pressure on the leader. And Julie, Wild West got to the outside and mowed them down late in impressive fashion. Probably been racing without luck, and certainly the race turned out nicely for him last Friday night.
Indeed, and a man who had a very good night last Friday was Scott Bomber Hill. How are you, Bomber?
Very well, thanks, Hayden. And yourself?
Yes, going very well indeed.
Good evening, Bomber.
G'day, Glen. How are you?
Very well, mate.
How are we feeling in regard to tomorrow night?
Yeah, it's probably the least confident I've been about a meeting for a while. We're just going to limp in tomorrow night with a couple at value, but that's the way it goes. Some weeks you're confident, some weeks you're not so we'll see how we go.
It's interesting, Bomber, the last few weeks, just as a point of interest, I think there was 4 weeks in a row that 4 out of 10 leaders won, and then a 5 out of 10 leaders, and then last week a 6 out of 10 leaders. So there's been a lot of pressure racing at Gloucester Park and a few against the speed map, if you like. It's good to see that they're coming from behind.
Yeah, it's certainly been some competitive racing, and we're going to continue to see that, no doubt.
Yeah, let's start off tomorrow night with race number 1, Bomber. And here it's the MetLabs Iris NDT Christmas Pace. BJ's boy comes up with the pole. Me Flash immediately outside, desperately unlucky last week. October Rain in 3, Burley Shard in 4, Bayardo in 5, Duty Bound 6, Pelagroso 7. After those couple of wins, he blotted his copybook last start. 8 is Illawong Mustang, who's third up now, should be peaking fitness-wise. Another big man is second up, drawn in 9. Soho Santorini inside second row with our Shelley Beach, who was able to win in steady time last week after controlling it fresh. And Parajua Ad Astra in 12. Who do you like here, Bomber?
Yeah, well, you mentioned him there, Hayden. It was an absolute tragedy beating last week, Me Flash, but I love the way he's going, and I'm going to stick with him. He'll most likely settle 1-1 or 1-2, I think, but he doesn't necessarily have to stay there. He's a Dow type that can, probably head to the breeze if they want to walk, and if they do run along, he can just sit in the running line, and I think he's a big chance of covering them late. He's run 2 starts ago, was sensational, and then last week he just should have won. Simple as that.
Yeah, Bomber, the run against Longreach Bay, the previous run when he was 3 deep from the bell, proved that he can stay. And last week, of course, was a hard luck story when he got crossed and tucked in behind the leader, and obviously was full of running on the line. How do you see it in terms of how you're going to play it?
Yeah, just a 1-unit bet. He will need the right run, either be that in the breeze or coming off speed. But I just think it'll be the right price to bet again the way he's going.
No markets up yet. Probably looking at this around the $4-ish mark, I would think, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I thought maybe even a touch better. Drawn where he is. I don't think he can lead from 2, so I thought maybe I'll be happy enough with $4, but I thought we might get a touch better.
Yeah, could do. Yeah, for sure.
Race 3 is the next one we're going to be looking at, and it's over the 21:30, Perth's newest station, Smooth FM Pace. Number 1, I'm a 5-star General, gets a key draw advantage here. Number 2 is Middle Page, 3 Thompson Bay, 4 Cordero, 5 Magnificent, who is beginning to find form now this campaign after that last start win. Hillview Bondi, he's a gutsy, doughty type. He's drawn in 6. Waterbro is out, number 7. 8 Rock and Roll Elliot, 9 Soho Firestone steps up, and 10 Tiger Royal from the soft draw. Who here, Bomber?
I thought it was the kind of race that Magnificent could set off a pretty hot speed and be pretty strong late. He looks to have come back in really good fashion, this bloke, and he could easily have 2 1s beside his name. He ran home in better than 57 after taking off at the 1200 last time, and that was his 4th run back from a spell, so he should be absolutely cherry ripe here, and I thought Hillview Bondi would ensure the race was run at a really strong speed, and Magnificent could be the beneficiary of that.
And Bomber, it does map well for Magnificent here. I agree with you strongly. With the I'm a 5-star General, the likely leader, and the likely breeze horse Hillview Bondi, and just maybe Chris Lewis can get the 1-1 spot there.
Yeah, I tend to agree, even if he's 1-2, but there'll be a few of these wanting the pegs, I think. So, yeah, I tend to agree with you, Glen. He's going to be close enough, and that pressure should be good enough for him.
How many units do you think?
Yeah, 1 unit bet. He will need a touch of luck, obviously, but happy enough to just go with the 1 unit.
Price, do you think, here?
I thought maybe $3.50, $4.
Yeah, the one will be favourite, won't it? So probably fairly short, the one, given the draw. The fact
I think he deserves to be. I think he deserves to be second favourite for sure.
Yeah, around the 350 mark. I'd agree with that.
That's another tip there from Bomber. We're going to go to a break now. Last week, hotly pursued. There was a hot tempo up front. That suited this horse. He's been going so well, Glen. He deserved to get a win. And that's exactly what he got last week in the opening race.
Yeah, God bless him.
Run out wide is racing after the leader, Soho Firestone. Crowd controls on the back of Hotly Pursued, trying to run on. And then came Rock Artist, but in the straight, and Harper goes for home. Hotly Pursued has broken away from them. Crowd control is battling on strongly on the outside, but Hotly Pursued kept going by Harper. Is going to be too good again, and Hotly Pursued has won from Crowd Control, flashing home. Holy hecker, a really good run.
Talking Trots with Morts and Michael Radley on Tab Radio, Racing and Sport.
About to work into the clear and run on his A corner. Savalco about to go for Mr. Mont Blanc. He's in front of Torpedo Rock. No run for Me Flash. And then October Rain. Mr. Mont Blanc holding Torpedo Rock. Mr. Mont Blanc just in front. Torpedo Rock driving. But Mr. Mont Blanc's got the lead from Torpedo Rock near the line. Torpedo Rock has a dive right on the post. But Mr. Mont Blanc has won from Torpedo Rock and Me Flash and October.
Just gripping on by the skin of his chinny chin, Mr. Mont Blanc, but back in the winners list last week. Glen had did what he had to there. He's on the fringe of a good quality crop of 4-year-olds.
Absolutely, yeah. Once he got the lead, that race was his for the keeping, but they did run a fast lead time, so he still did a good job there.
Indeed he did. We're going to continue this preview with Bomber in the 5th race on the program tomorrow night at Gloucester Park. And that is the Nova 93.7 4-year-old classic at Group 2 level, 21.30 the trip. Number 1, Hoppy's Way, $7. 2, Who's the Dad, 61. 3, My Ultimate Ronnie, 124. 4, Street Hawk, 41. 5, Al Capone, 26. 6, Luca, 81. 7, Tricky Mickey, 31. 8, Soho Dow Jones, 126. 9, Taking the Mickey, 81. 10, Star Casino, 950. 11, Wonderful to Fly, 17. 12, You're So Fine, 16. 13, Goodfellas and Emergency, 23, as is 14, Major Perry at 26. Who do you like, Bomber?
Yeah, I thought Hoppy's Way would almost certainly hold up here over the 21.30. It looks his opportunity to post the hot pot, and for that reason, just with one at one of the despised outsiders actually for the place in Who's the Dad, he draws beautifully to sit 1-1 here, I think, on the back of My Ultimate Ronnie, and even if he does happen to bully his way to the top, which I see as unlikely, then something will give Who's the Dad cover, and he's really capable of finishing off strong. He worked very hard last week in the fastest part of the race when he was 3 wide. He knocked up a touch late, but he was entitled to, and I think he's a great place hope from the running line here.
Yeah, look, he did plenty of work, didn't he, for run 4th in that good company the other week. So he maps here to get the pretty good runners you're suggesting, particularly if Hoppy's Way holds up.
Yeah, agree. And it's one race where he won't have to do too much work at all, and he'll just get the chance to use that speed late. So, yeah, a massive place price, just the 1 unit. But, I think we're going to get around the $6 or $7 the place. So.
Yeah, I would say so. There's plenty of place chances in this race, and he's got the draw. But, you might even get better, Bomber.
Yeah, well, let's hope so. It's I think the race will be, obviously made up of whether Hoppy's Way holds up. And if he does relent, then it'll just become a procession. But if he holds up, we've got a race on our hands.
Definitely.
Okay, we've got to go back. Sorry, Bomber, I jumped ahead too quickly there. And we got to go back to race number 4. It's the Consolation. Freshest hits and throwbacks on Nova. 4-year-old classic. 1, Flow Writer gets the draw. He's coming back to form now. 3rd run into the preparation. 2, Steno is bang there outside him. 3, Cut and Run. 4, Goodfellas. 5, Rockmeister. 6, Mr. Mont Blanc. 7, Cyclone Charlotte. 8, Ardent's Horizon. 9, Armour X Factor. 10, Bricky's Dream. 11, Paul Edward. 12, Major Perry. The Emergency, Soho Santorini, Mr. Chip. A lot of horses opening up their campaigns or in the initial stages of it here, Bomber.
Yeah, and some pretty handy types as well. It's a nice race. Wouldn't mind owning many of these, but I thought Paul Edward was the place bet again. He's got options off the gate. I think he'll most likely go 3 pegs, but even if he stays one off, I think he's more than capable of filling a hole. He returned in the 4-year-old championship a fortnight ago, and he set out the back there and just minded his own business. And he dashed up nicely up the straight and minimal room. He didn't break the clock by any stretch, but that was a pretty solidly run race for his first up attempt, and he had 2 weeks off to get over that. And I think he's the type of horse that can hit the line really hard here with a bit of luck.
And Bomber, looking at the race too, Flowrider looks the leader. Initially, Steno's got gate speed, obviously, but I don't think they'll go that. They won't be getting past Ryan Warwick there. So Flowrider the leader, but you can see a lot of moves. Maybe Goodfellas obviously trialled really well, can be driven with a bit of aggression, and has got the ability to rate outside the leader here. Then you've got Rockmeister out of the gate. You've got Mr. Bonplanc went forward last week. I don't think so this week. Then Armour X Factor, even though it's first up, drawn 9, it's a horse that likes to get on the pace as well. It might be a touch wide for it, but... And even Major Perry, there's a few horses here that can be put in the race, so it could suit Paul Edward, the place.
Yeah, I agree. And the one horse that I thought would put the speed into the race could be Goodfellas. They'll be pretty keen to make a statement here after he missed out, or his emergency for the big one. So, like you said, tried really well and they had him pretty well right, I'd say. So I think they'll be ready to make a statement here. So I wouldn't be surprised if he went to the breeze at all. And he's breezed and won too, Bomber, so it's not foreign to him. No, that's for sure. No, I think there'll be more pace than I first thought.
That'll suit you. How many units?
Yes, that'll do us nicely. We'll just, once again, another one that needs a bit of luck, but fair enough price, I think. So, yeah, just the 1 unit.
You realise if you get all these home with the all-up place and everything like that, you'll be taking home the bank, the King's Ransom.
Yeah.
It's nice value. Even if you play the doubles and got one of the doubles up, with those place bets, it'd be a terrific result.
Have you got a multi-bomber?
I actually don't. I think Glen's probably nailed it there. If you just sort of double some of these up, and if we can get 2 of them home, then there is going to be plenty of value around.
All right, sounds good. Thanks so much.
Good on you, Bomber.
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
Cheers.
That's Bomber Hill there with his tips ahead of Gloucester Park tomorrow night. All right, let's go to a break, Glen. By the way, this segment brought to us by Retrovision.
Beautiful.
There's one for Morts. He's absent, but Retrovision are not. Save an extra 5% every day with Retrovision. Second leg of a double for Murray Lindor. Talks up a storm. Geez, team's going well at the moment, Murray.
Absolutely flying.
Credit to Murray. Here's the win of one of his stable stars.
Behind them, Classic Choice, Thompson Bay. Talks up a storm responding. Leads by 3 metres. Master Publisher, the outside, is running on. Talks up a storm in front. Master Publisher goes up on the outside. Master Publisher coming at Talks Up a Storm. He kicks strongly, though. Talks up a storm in front, and Talks Up a Storm has won from Master Publisher, Thompson Bay and Waterbro.
You are listening to Talking Trots with Morts and Michael Radley.
Peak is clear by 6 or 7 metres to War Spirit. Then Dark Secret, Lover Flare. Patch trying to get going again, but Elegant Peak race clear. It's about 8 metres in front of War Spirit, patched along the inside late. But Elegant Spirit is racing clear from War Spirit and Patch, and all the way for Elegant Spirit wins it well from War Spirit, Patch and Lover Flare.
Yes, Elegant Peak able to get the money last week. Led, dictated, got the job done. Friday night winner for Brad Lynn, Glenn.
And you were pretty confident about it, and once it bounced, it never looked like getting beaten.
No, he just simply dictated through that 1:10.6 lead time, 31.6, 30.8, writing really on the wall from there, and didn't even break 30 seconds through any of the final 2 quarters. Just left the others with a bit to do. Helped that Patched.
Yeah.
Galloped approaching the home corner, but I think he was probably in a fight for second.
Oh, I'm sure he was. Yeah, that horse won too easily.
Indeed. All right. We've got a bit coming up over the next couple of days, Glenn, highlighted by the 4-year-old Classic at Group 2 level. You wanted to take a look at that?
Yeah, I thought we'd just have a run through the whole field one by one and just briefly comment on these horses as we go through. It starts with Hoppy's Way, clearly going to be very significant. Shannon Savelko's comments. Mike Reed's alluded to the fact he'd like to lead, but he's going to leave it to Shannon to make the decision at the gate. But Mike sort of thought the horse gets its opportunity to try and lead, so that'll be interesting. We might get the comment finally from Shannon Savelko before the race, which will be very interesting in itself. What did you think would happen?
Look, it probably depends how hard they press the issue. Obviously, if they can, they'd love to lead with Hoppy's Way. Over 21.30, it's their chance to do it, really.
Yep.
Because it's this week. They'll find out where they really stand heading into next week against this supposedly and justifiably thought so to be a crack horse from the east in My Ultimate Ronnie. He's got the runs on the board and he's a winner of 19 from 34, nearly $400,000 in prize money, boasts some very strong mile rates indeed. He'll be out to frank everything that people think of him.
100%, and be interesting to see Will Rixon's first drive at Gloucester Park, just how aggressive he is.
Actually, it's not.
Not his first drive?
No, because he'll be on cut and run in the race
sorry,
before.
he's driving in the previous. Yeah, it's true. So he's going to have a look around from a sort of a similar draw too, or drawn 3. So he'll get a bit of a feel of it, but he's only a young fella, but he's very experienced in terms of number of drives he's had. But, you know, usually the Welcome to the West, Shannon Savelko, you'd imagine, would like to lead if he can. So that will be very interesting. Who's the dad drawn outside him? If Hoppy's Way leads, you think that Trent would be happy to take the 1-1 on My Ultimate Ronnie early?
Absolutely.
And then you've got Street Hawk. Denny won't be sort of real happy with that draw, even though it's drawn favourably in terms of other horses. It's one of those draws that you're damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Also the possibility that Who's the Dad restrains for a pegs position as well.
Possibility. Yeah, I think they're going to have to weigh it up pretty early with Mild and Ronnie's in the breeze. And Hoppy's Way's leading. They might be satisfied with the 1-1 and take the punt on that, given the fact that the other week in the championship, 4-year-old championship, it circled the field to get the breeze outside Hoppy's Way and then faced the breeze for the rest of the journey and still hung on and ran fourth, a creditable run. So having the 1-1 here, assuming My Ultimate Ronnie, does it hold the breeze? So we're going to find out up where we're going to find out more about its staying ability. Certainly it's got very strong form in terms of versatility, but this is another matter to if they come at him out of the gate like Luca might go forward, for example. Street Hawk could be driven positively early. It's hard to know. You know, what do they do with Tricky Mickey? If you go through these one by one, you've got Street Hawk. What's it do? What's your opinion there? Go forward or have a look?
It's just a question of where the horse is at, because clearly last start he was below par. If he's in his best form, I think they would love to press forward and occupy a forward position.
Again, it depends on where Ultimate Ronnie is in front or outside the leader. El Capone is racing in career best form. Again, an awkward sort of draw. Do they want to commit early? It looks a bit unlikely that they want to use that horse up early, given the fact its main attribute is to be stoked up late and come with that quick sprint. And it's been doing that consistently lately. Luke is up in class in terms of this situation. Unlucky last time when he drew one, got crossed and never saw daylight, but a very strong horse. So Bill Hayes would probably be thinking, probably have to try and get forward and get a spot somewhere.
He will have to try to get forward. A lot of these horses, the question will be, though, can they get forward given My Ultimate Ronnie is there? If he's in the breeze, surely he won't let them past. This
is the issue. So the very much important what happens there at the start. It's whether these horses have got the opportunity and whether Will Rixon is happy to be in the breeze dictating, or if there's too much heat and they come at him real hard and aggressive, he's going to have to make a decision as to whether he tries to push on and force the lead from Hoppy's Way, and that's a possibility as well. Hoppy's Way holds up initially, they come at him, and Will Rixon pushes on and forces the lead.
Do you believe that Hoppy's Way could lead and win a race like this?
My gut is that he's tried to do it before. He tried to lead in the Derby and got run over by Tricky Mickey. Then Junior drove the race of his life there to rate Tricky Mickey to grab him late. Given the fact that he burnt out from a wide barrier a couple of weeks ago when he crossed Luca, that was a pretty fast lead time, did a bit of work. Mike Reid alluded to the fact that he tried to stack them up on the corner, and he didn't believe that really suits Hoppy's Way. He believes he's better off just rolling along. I think they'll believe that they're a chance over 2100. My gut feeling is he'll fall slightly short, but the horse has got the ability, if he can rate correctly, 2100 metres around Gloucester Park, you never know if they underestimate him, and Shannon can dictate it a bit, but I just sort of see that he might fall short.
Well, he did fall short last start. It was narrow, though, and on that occasion he had to open up every avenue to get across and lead.
He certainly did.
Given tomorrow night, he's bang there. Gate number 1 already on the rail, and with his noted gate speed, it makes it much easier for him to hold the front.
If he can get the lead time reasonable and my alternate Ronnie accepts the fact that it's not handing over and Shannon makes it clear, then he just might be able to rate this race and then start rolling, as Mike Reid suggests. He's better off rolling, not trying to hold him up for that last 400-metre sprint. He's better off rolling along a little bit. Then he's got Star Casino, another one that went very well in the 4-year race, had the 1-1, got the beautiful split underneath El Capone on the corner and sprinted fast to win. He's a dangerous horse if there's a bit of heat on. He can get clear here late. Hayden as well.
Absolutely. Indeed he is. One other aspect to the race is that with Hoppy's Wager on the inside, it's a question that a lot of different bookmakers have pondered in recent days as well, and that's prompted a variance of opinion. One bookmaker went up $3.60 Hoppy's Way, potentially anticipating that he would be leading. Others have put up Hoppy's Way $6.50, $7, even pushed them out double figures.
And they opened the favourite at $1.70.
Yeah.
And they got swamped, of course, assuming that might have been an Eastern States assumption, that just finding the front, which is possible, and that was a real market correction, I would have thought, the $1.70. But at the end of the day, they're just thinking this Hoppy's Way will just relent and be happy to sit on my ultimate Ronnie, the $1.70. If that happens, there's massive overs, clearly. The other one, the mare, Wonderful to Fly, had the couple of runs back now. Shane Rung's alluded to it for quite some time. He's been dying to have this horse or this mare set up in this type of company in a fast run race, pressure to use her finishing sprint. That's another element to a very exciting race. If there's pressure up front, she could be one coming late based on her ability to sprint. If they go hard, you also find similar. He's going to need a lot of luck, but he'll need them to go hard to be able to get into the race at all from that draw as well. They're two that are interesting runners on the back line that'll be relying on a lot of pressure up front.
And yeah, you also find as well. Where's my watch list at? Is he?
Yeah, he's got a problem with his hoof. He went around a Pinjo. That's why he went rough and broke up early, and then started over racing. So we tipped him straight out. He's got a really bad foot. His bad foot. Gary, over a period of time, corrected that foot. Was shoeing, and lo and behold, the other foot flared up and has to be chopped out and grow back, and that'll take probably 6 to 8 weeks. So unfortunately, we've had to spell him and let that foot recover, and he'll be back next year.
Okay, well that's poor news, but hopefully a long-term proposition, because when we had Gary on a month or two ago, he seemed like, if anything, he perhaps had a leaning toward my watch list over yours so far.
Yeah, he definitely did. Yeah, it's a horse with a lot of ability. Got the speed and the staying ability too, but and he went well. Obviously, he came back in this time, but then Pinjarra had the hiccup and we found the foot problem and had to deal with it.
That's the 4-year-old classic tomorrow, Glenn.
Yeah,
Are you in the camp of Ronnie?
Well, I think you've got to be. I think the horse has got tremendous versatility. It's a bettor's delight too, and they get better as they get older. I think that's what's happened with my ultimate Ronnie. It's got a lethal sprint on it as well, so we're assuming that if it doesn't lead, it's all over. Breeze could be a question mark slightly in this company because there's some good horses camped there that might be able to grab it late. But if it's set up, it's got a brilliant sprint on it as well. So, I think you've got to lean to it, but I couldn't take the $1.30. Given the circumstances of Hoppy's Way, the possible leader, that would be too short. I think he'll get out in the market, but if the evidence is Hoppy Way's relenting, well, it'll $1.30 will probably shorten.
It's $2.25, my ultimate Ronnie, for the Nugget, which is 2 weeks away. It's the Nugget favourite.
Yep.
If you're backing him in a race like this, $1.24, and there is a degree of uncertainty about him leading, then you must be considering taking the $2.25 for the Nugget.
Yeah, not prior to the barrier draw, thanks very much. But it might be big overs, but if you draw 9, the 225 will be a lot better than that. But
Well, it depends. It all depends on tomorrow night.
it depends on tomorrow night and the barrier draw for the Nugget, of course. If he draws a really bad barrier and you've got to work over 2,500, that's a great leveller. Tomorrow night, of course, it could be a procession, of course. But, yeah, look, if you want to take the punt, I know what you're saying. If the barrier draw worked out adversely, I'd be a little bit nervous about the 225.
Yeah, if you do have a spare moment, I'd recommend going and looking at the fluctuations for that Golden Nugget all-in market. It's some interesting viewing.
There was a few horses in there that weren't likely to come that were factored into that market at 1.2, which created some variations, I think.
Well, there's a lot of horses that opened very, very short indeed.
They did. Yep.
Also got some weekend racing coming up. Gloucester Park Saturday, Wagen Friday as well, and then Pinjarra Monday, Northam Tuesday. I think I've got some winners there.
Good. Yep.
Wagen tomorrow night, race 6. I'm going to back 2 here. Race 6, number 2, Axel Rocks, and race 6, number 4, Wise Sage. They're both for Wayne Justins. Wayne's having a good run with his team at the moment. Axel Rocks tired badly first up. Their last start significantly checked and just ruled the line through. That could be a noted improver there and not much of a race. And Wise Sage is a bit of a class dropper in a sense and went back to trials and did a good enough job there at Pinjarra a week ago. So I want to be on both of those.
Okay.
Race 3 at Pinjarra on Monday. Now, this might revive some repressed memories for you, Glenn.
Yeah.
Jimmy Rocks, who should have won last start,
Definitely.
just was completely wrong at the start and sacrificed an initiative that proved too great, but regathered his poise and was an excellent third. Although he does meet a good field. Covernote won well on Monday, and Ambit Sire, who is a big class dropper from that third at Gloucester Park last start. He has the class to overcome gate number 7. He's got a lot of ability, a lot of versatility, and I want to be with him. Race 3, number 7.
Yep.
Jimmy Rocks.
Okay.
And then I'm all over the place. Northam. Race 6 on Tuesday. That horse I touched on with Kyle, Beach Captain. Really good winning yesterday. Always thought this horse had a bit of a future when he was with Terry Ferguson, and that was only further endorsed by that showing yesterday at Bunbury, coming home in 27-2. Nathan alluding to the fact that the horse probably was not ready, needed another week or 2, but he turned up yesterday, did a fine job. No doubt he'll strip fitter for having those excessive 6 days under the belt, and he can win on Tuesday. Beach Captain, race 6, number 9.
Should be a big improver, and that was pretty good information you got regarding the interview with Junior. Alluded to the fact that Nathan Turvey did make those comments, but also alluded to the fact that Nathan was very confident that the horse would still go well and was happy to breeze. And Chris Folkes' horse in the race had to go back, drawn outside Junior. And the fact that that information came out on the Twitter was very important to the punters and still paid a pretty good price around the 240 mark.
Indeed, especially considering Chris was pretty reluctant and loath to indicate his odds-on favourite could beat the other one.
And went terrific. Trigwell Road. Very good run, the one for punters to follow the next few weeks.
This segment brought to us by Bayswater Mazda. Glen, save money on your Mazda. Go down there.
Next year I have to play a trip out there. I'm due, I think, probably early next year I'll go there and talk to the boys.
Anything else?
Yeah, we've got the
the Enters, of course.
Inter-Dominion starting tomorrow night. And the market for the Pacers, there's very short price favourites tomorrow night because Lead to Fame, Swayze have drawn impeccable barriers to be very hard to beat. The market for the Inter-Dominion Grand Final in rough average terms around the place, $1.80 Leap to Fame, $3.50 Swayze. A lot of people think that 350's big overs. Rock and Roll Do, confidence from Michael Stanley regarding its chances long-term for the Inters. $9, $11 better Eclipse. Nobody in better form than Greg Sugars. And 21 Spirit of St. Louis. Consistent horse going around the Inters. They're the main ones in the market. In the Trotters, Just Believe $1.80 favourite. It's hard to find one to beat it. It's got to get through the series clearly, but $1.80, you'd say that's pretty reasonable. 350 Queen Alida, a very good mare, but Just Believe handled it very easily the other week. Olivici's a horse with a lot of ability. It's going around tomorrow night. $7, and Mufasa Metro, the big tip tomorrow night to lead all the way against Olivici by Adam Hamilton. It's $12 in the mark of Mufasa Metro. So that's a glimpse at it. So we'll build up for the next couple of weeks to the final at Albion Park, and it looks like the big two are probably going to be the ones. Leap to Fame, Swayze, and Just Believe seems to have the class to be able to handle anything in the Trotters ranks.
He comes up with gate number 1 as well tomorrow night, Just Believe, which is only going to enhance his claims at starting off his series on the right note. Swayze $1.12 in his heat, Leap to Fame $1.10 in his heat. Obviously, there was a little bit of a cloud surrounding Swayze after the New Zealand Cup success. He was scratched from the race subsequent, and there was a bit of conjecture whether he would be participating, but he is there, and he will have a gruelling campaign to stand up to over the coming week and a half. Well, he's got the scalp of Leap to Fame, hasn't he? And plenty of other scalps as well. I think 9 for 9 or something in the stable, and the world's his oyster at the moment. So it'd be, you'd imagine Jason Grimson. We're actually trying to get Jason Grimson on the show, but couldn't get him. But it would have been interesting to get his take on just how Swayze's pulled up after that gruelling win in the New Zealand Cup, and didn't butter up for the free-for-all either later that week. So he thought he'd done enough, clearly, and got him back ready for the Inter-Dominions. But he's got a pretty good record, Jason Grimson, so if he's going around, I'd be suspecting he'll go all right. Turn It Up would be the horse, probably cross him, and then out of the gate. I don't think they'll worry about that, and then Turn It Up takes the set on him tomorrow night to get the points that it needs to qualify for the final. So I think it'll be a pretty easy watch. If I recall correctly, I think I saw on Twitter today, one of our listeners, Pike in the Last, he put up, Turn It Up has gone forward 33 times, and he's led 32 of them. There was only one time he didn't lead. So yeah, well, he's a brilliant beginner. That punctuates how much gate speed he has. Oh, he's a tremendous beginner, but he has sat in the top company on a few occasions. So I don't think he's always held the lead, but he's led out of the gate is what he's referring to. And then sometimes he's taken that option to sit. He did it in the Black Suffolk and a few of those races, took options to sit. But in this situation over a mile, of course, it's a bit different. But I did hear the interview with Shane Graham today, and Shane Graham indicated that he'd be likely sitting on Swayze. Right. So that gave that assurance to the $1.12 punters that they may not have to put up with too much drama there. Obviously, we are on the western front here, and I don't follow Queensland harness closely, but there doesn't look a lot of collective depth in these heats, Glenn. No, particularly the way the barrier draws have sorted themselves out, but quite often the Indus throws up some surprises and boilovers over the years. That's what's happened. When they race 3 times over the 2 weeks prior to the final, sometimes you get the upsets later in the heats where there's a bit of attrition, and also the fact that if you've accumulated points early on, the tactics of some of the drivers are a little bit more conservative if they know they're going to make the final. So it's not necessarily breakneck the last set of heats, depending on, because really it's a management of the horses over the 3 heats in the final that determines the winner of the Inter-Dominions and the place getters. So we saw horses like Black Suffolk get beaten in heats of the Inter-Dominions. There's been plenty of them over the years that there's been some upsets, and it'll be interesting. I don't think it'll be tomorrow night, but as you get into the series, you may see that happen. A couple of milestones as well, Glenn, in recent weeks. Gary Hall Jr. touched up his previous best yesterday, 253, and then he went 2 more. He's on 255 now. The record, as I can find, is Chris Voke, 264 in a season here at WA. Wow. So Junior has a little bit more to do to eclipse that. Yeah, well, he's got a bit of time, hasn't he? What are we, 4 weeks, basically? Essentially. How many winners? About 12 or? 9. 9, yeah, I think he might do that. He should. Yeah. But also, that's pretty good. I didn't know Chris Voke drove that. I know he had that purple patch year where he was driving winners everywhere, but that's incredible, yeah. Didn't know that. Another lady on the verge of a big milestone is Denny Roberts. She will become, at this stage, the first woman to ever snatch 200 winners in WA pacing history.
Yeah, that's incredible.
She's on the verge. She's only 7 away, sitting on 193 at the moment. And to put this in perspective for you, Emily Savalco is the only other West Australian woman to get 100 winners in a season. And before this year, she held the record with 177 in 2021. Emily's got it 3 times. The national record for a woman is Karen Manning with 371.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. That's over a winner a day.
Yeah, she's a great driver in a day, and they were 7 day a week pretty well in Victoria, though. Like, they were racing almost every day. So that I'd like to look at how many drives she had as opposed to Denny and Emily, but certainly she's been one of the greats of Australian harness racing, no doubt.
300 in a season 3 times. As an aside, Denny's about to hit this big milestone. There's only 5 other reins people in WA that have got 200 in a season.
Is that right?
How many can you name?
How many can I know? Chris Lewis would be one, I presume.
Yep.
Gary Hall Jr., obviously.
Yep.
And then Chris Voke.
Yep. Actually, well, we've missed one then. Yeah, I haven't got him on my list, but obviously I spoke about him before. Yeah.
Where are we going from there? We didn't used to race as much in the older days, but Fred Kersley get there or not?
No, I've got Morgan Woodley.
Oh, yeah, Morgan, of course. Yeah.
Ryan Warwick.
Yep.
And Lindsay Harper.
Wow, yeah, there you go. But in the old days, there wouldn't have been too many get there because we never had as many meetings as we've got now. So Chris Voke, pretty well when he got to that high fee was going everywhere and driving winner after winner. And it's a hard slog to keep doing that every year, year after year. They have to pace themselves a little bit, those distances, etc. But look, it's amazing when you think back about the 200. Now they're blasting through it and looking at the 300 mark.
But with such a slim list of people who've got 200 winners, speaks volumes of the rise of Denny Roberts and what the feat she's about to accomplish is, to give it some perspective.
Yeah, and it's great for the industry, mate, to see the female drivers coming ahead the way they are. Emily, Maddie Brown and others coming through, and the younger ones coming through as well. It's great to see them come through, and they're getting the rewards, and we're seeing a lot more involvement in the training ranks for women as well, and young drivers coming through to be attracted into the industry and getting results. And the important thing is can make a living out of harness racing, and that's what we want.
Has to be sustainable.
Has to be sustainable, and we have to have an industry that allows for confident investment, great return for the owners, and trainers in particular is a hobby horse of mine, trainers that can make a living out of harness racing as a profession. So long-term, on-course stabling, the Owners Association and RAWA and the other bodies are very keen for on-course stabling long-term Pinjarra, which will bring young people into the industry, young prospective trainers, and also Bunbury is a long-term proposition. I think if we can achieve that, we'll attract a lot of new young trainers who can't afford properties into the industry, and then they bring the owners in as well, and it's a win-win situation.
Big thanks to Loans 123 as well for their sponsorship. Contact Steve Sell 1800 100 100 if you do find yourself in a spot of bother. That winds us out, Glenn.
Very good. It's great to be here again, and I'll see the boys back next week.
Hope so. Good luck, punters. See you out there tomorrow night if you are going to Gloucester Park. If not, catch you next week on Talking Trots.